Hello, everybody. This is Finley from Puzzle Plank Gaming. Yeah, awesome. And in this video, it's the first video of its kind, a pre-recorded video. Ooh. And I'm going to be ranking. Well, I'm going to be explaining every gun in Hyperscape in my own opinions. So if I think the gun is garbage and needs adjusting, I will say the gun is garbage, why I think that, and why it needs adjusting. Make sense? I hope it does, because we are going to start the video. Okay, first we have the Ripper, the perfect assault rifle for this game. High DPS, high damage, good range, great accuracy, great hip fire. It's like the perfect primary weapon in this game. I would prefer to take this over any other weapon in this game. It's that good without being broken. Speaking of broken, we'll get to that later. Next we have the Harpy. Now the Harpy is a shredder, an absolute shredder, and if you can use the Harpy right, you can take names. You can disintegrate your opponent, but that's if you can use it. Now, I am not that great at SMGs in first persons. I much prefer ARs as close ranges, so I use the Ripper instead, and then another weapon. And the Harpy, I sometimes take, but most of the time I take like a Riot 1, or another, or a rocket launcher, or grenade launcher, or sniper maybe. But don't get me wrong, it is a very good gun. Next we have, oh boy, it's the Hexfire. The Hexfire is the most broken weapon in this game by a long shot. Now, 5 damage fully fusion, 7 damage headshot, its accuracy is fantastic, its range is pretty good, and its DPS is through the roof. It is the noob friendly gun of this game, and it is I'd say way too noob friendly. It just can shred at most ranges. And for the range of the sniper, you're only going to be really using snipers or ARs at that range, and you can't really hit your shots from that range. So I wouldn't do that. It just shreds. It's that simple. Next up, we have the Dragonfly. Now the Dragonfly is it's mediocre. I would not take the Dragonfly over the Ripper. It's more the balanced DPS, the heavy kind of version of it. But it just doesn't feel like it. Especially with the current controller settings, because it just feels so hard to hit your shot sometimes with the vertical recoil. Talking about recoil, the Hexfire doesn't have that. Let's give the Hexfire no recoil, guys. That's a really good idea. Sorry, a bit off track there. Yeah, it's great for long ranges if you don't want to use the Ripper, but if you can aim, of course. If you can't aim, use the Sniper, or the Ripper, or the Hexfire, since it's so good at that as well. Okay, next is the Protocol. The Protocol is your generic sniper. I don't really need to say much. One shot headshot, great body damage, awful hipfire, amazing accuracy. Done. There we go. Done and dusted. I'm gonna go eat a cookie now. Okay. Next is the Komodo, in my opinion, the best grenade launcher. I almost said rocket launcher then. It's just great for indoors and any other situation outdoors where your opponent is on the ground and their abilities have kind of been expired. It's my 2 recommended secondary weapons, other than the Riot 1. We'll get to that later. It's just pretty good. That's mainly all I have to say about it. Next is the Salvo, the most obnoxious weapon to use in this game. No joke. It's drop, and it's really slow projectile speed. It does not make it that good of a weapon. It's maybe if it had some sort of proximity to the grenades, I would use it more. But I don't really see that happening with this gun. I think it's just going to be at the bottom tier for all its days unless it somehow gets buffed. Okay, moving on. Next we have the Skybreaker. The Skybreaker is, I would say, a decent grenade launcher. I'd still take the Komodo. It's just that sometimes I'll take the Skybreak if it's fully powered and there's a Komodo that's low level. No need to hit aim down sights. Very good damage if your opponent is standing still because of really slow projectile speed. Maybe you can hit 2 targets at once. It's really slow reload time, which the Hexfire doesn't have. Kind of negates its skill, but it's an average gun. That's all I can say, really. Next, we have the D-Tap. Do not use this as your primary gun, or I will have to murder you. This gun was intended for use as a secondary gun, so if you've got your opponent down to really low health and they're trying to run away, use your D-Tap. It is perfect for that. I would consider using this as a secondary gun if I found a high level version of it. Its low level version is awful, don't use that. It's got that massive skip, like that massive gap. And I'd say this is a pretty noob friendly gun. Obviously the most noob friendly gun being that goddamn Hexfire sitting in the corner whenever I'm trying to fight. Sorry about that. Good gun if you're not going against someone with a Hexfire. Next up, we have the Riot 1, the second last weapon on the list. This gun's pretty good. Yeah, that's mainly it. This gun is pretty good. If you can hit your shots, it is phenomenal. It is one of the best weapons in the game. But if you can't hit your shots, that's too bad, buddy. That's just too bad. Yeah, that's mainly all I have to say about it. Tremendous if you're good with it. Finally, the Mammoth. Oh boy. Like, this gun is good if you can aim. I feel like its body damage doesn't fit with the shotgun pellets per shot, etc. It could use a couple of reworks maybe, but I think it's in a pretty good place now. But yeah, that's mainly all I have to say about that gun as well. That will do it for today's episode of whatever the hell I'm calling this series. I didn't even know this was going to be a series. If this maybe gets some attention, I might make it a series, or if people like it. And yeah, bye.